Good morning. It's Monday morning, and it's Meika's Safehouse, brought to you by Meika's Birdhouse with Ian Sprague. How are you doing today?
We're doing great. We're doing great. We have four birds to showcase today. We have a little cockatiel here. If I get him onto my fingers, this little fella came to us last week from Animal Care and Control. I can't really tell what the story is. It's just a young bird. This one, judging by the leg band, it was from hatched in 2019. So it's very young. Appears to be female, and a shoulder tame, a finger tame, really friendly little bird. How we got outside or she got outside, we don't know. It's all a big mystery. She hasn't been claimed, and but she's here looking for a home. Cockatiels are native to Australia. The numbers in the wild, they're doing pretty good. If I can get her back off the shoulder, you'll see that this bird has a speckling on its back. That's called pearl. So that when you're seeing a bird advertised as pearl, that's what they're talking about. And that's just a genetic mutation that breeders of Sprague get because it's kind of pretty. Like I said, she's very young, but a very gentle bird. Very gentle bird. I would say she would do good in a home with teenagers or anything like that. Nice. She can do a lot of cool stuff. She's still at the learning stage. Yeah.
So what would she be able to learn how to do?
Well, you can teach these guys a lot of good whistling. They're not talkers, but they can. But not normal. But yeah, you can teach them to whistle. You can teach them, just some cool tricks and stuff like that.
Nice.
But just another nice little bird that's really happy just to sit on your shoulder or just hang out with you. Really nice bird. Oh, there she's going.
It's so good.
Now this is Saffron. Now Saffron is a green cheek conure. Now, when you go to a lot of the pet stores and pet trade stuff, they're going to tell you things like this is a yellow-sided conure, or this is a pineapple conure, or this is, whatever the new terminology is. But in all actuality, it's a green cheek conure. That's the species. The pineapple, the yellow-sided, the cinnamon, and all that. Those are color mutations, and those are things that that people have bred for the color, right? Mm-hmm. So these guys are native to South America. Mm-hmm. You find these from Venezuela, all through South America. Mm-hmm. A bird that's doing very well when it comes to its numbers in the wild. It's adapted well to human activity. Now these little dudes at home, they're one of the more we see quite a few of these guys in the rescue. Mainly because in the pet trade, they're relatively reasonably priced, right? So you could buy a conure at a pet store probably for in around the $400 or $500 mark, and then you buy a cage and everything else. The problem is that when you buy them at pet stores, they're babies. So when you have a baby bird, just like a puppy or anything else, this is an animal that is it's not going to bite. It doesn't really have a lot. It's still learning. It doesn't have a lot of attitude yet. But what happens in a fairly short period of time, usually in about a year, is that they understand what that little can opener on the front of their face is all about. That they can really give you a not a horrible bite, but it can make you bleed. Where are you going? So that a lot of times is a turnoff, especially if people bought this and thinking that it would be a good idea for a younger child, because it does hurt, and it doesn't take long for the bird to understand that if I bite, I get away with it. You'll take me back to my cage where my food and all my fun is, or I just get left alone. So it's really important to understand and learn to read the body language on these guys. Now they do tell you before they bite, but it's not always a clear-cut kind of thing. So, I learned probably very early on in my career with birds, I learned one of these guys taught me very well to really pay attention to what I'm doing, because I used to sit in front of the TV with the conure on my hand, and I would many times I'd just be sitting there minding my own business. The bird would just reach over and bite me for no apparent reason, and I would take the bird back to its cage, thinking that I was teaching it something. You go back to your cage and you behave yourself and don't do that again. And then I'd come back in 10, 15 minutes. Okay, are you ready to try again? And the bird was happy to come out. Oh yeah, we'll do this again. And it turned out I was every 20 minutes or so, the bird would give me a pretty nasty bite, and I'd have to take it back to the cage. Then it dawned on me, quite a ways down the road, embarrassingly enough, that he bit me every time he wanted a drink of water. He was
training you.
He had me trained perfectly. He'd get a little thirsty. I'd take him right to his water dish.
They're smart. There's no question. And he's got pretty hefty bird in the neck range, like compared to his. He's almost got like a falcon kind of body to him, right? These guys are really good flyers. So these are a bird of the lower canopy. So if you were looking at these guys would be from the branches down. They can fly.
There it goes. Yeah, so you would see him, whipping through branches, through trees and stuff like that. No problem whatsoever. Just left.
That's something, man. He's a handsome bird.
The next bird I'm going to show you is a bird of the upper canopy.
Okay.
This should be fairly interesting. This is Cherry. Now, Cherry is a scarlet macaw, and Cherry is another bird that came to us from Animal Care and Control. Cherry has some problem with manners, but and that's all it is. It's just she's a little rambunctious. She is a scarlet macaw, so scarlet macaws use that beak, and it's a big beak.
Oh yeah.
So it scares a lot of people, but they use that as a hand.
Okay.
Right. So they're reaching for stuff and they're grabbing stuff, and sometimes they put a little more mustard on it than you'd like. But I'm gonna get Cherry out here without losing a digit. Come on here, you. Come on, babe. Come on. Oh yeah. Come on. There we go. So this is Cherry.
Ooh.
There we go. Can everybody see her okay? Yeah. And so, so what are you doing? Yeah. So I really don't like birds. I don't like birds doing what she's doing right now. I don't like them crawling up on my shoulder like that. For the reason why, just like I said before, you need to learn to read birds' body language. And when she's there, I can't see what she's doing. She could be posturing at me, telling me to give her space, and then, just because I can't see her, and I turn my face into her, I can turn my face into a bite pretty easily. So I'm always very keen. I'm always very leery of a bird on my shoulder.
Especially with such a powerful beak, right?
Yeah, that's a beak that can do some real damage. And even her talons, she's grabbing a hold of my neck pretty good. Like I said, she's a bird without manners. She's never really been taught.
Yeah.
We're working on it slowly but surely.
She has some language though. She has some language. I heard some words.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she asks me what I'm doing quite a bit, and she says hi. She has some other words that I've never quite caught, because she always seems to say it when I'm walking away. But yeah, she's generally a pretty decent little bird. I shouldn't say little, she's a big bird. Something happened to her in if you can see, I turn her around without, ouch. There we go.
Colorful.
So, see, if you look, her tail's missing. Why? I have no idea. That's the mystery. That's one of the mysteries that came to us from Animal Care and Control. She generally is a pretty nice little bird, though. She doesn't cause a lot of grief, but because she's a scarlet, I don't know if you caught that, if you saw that, she uses that beak constantly. She's always nibbling, and she's not trying to hurt me. She's exploring, and unfortunately, she doesn't understand that I don't have. It hurts when she does that.
That's some kind of bird. That's some kind of bird.
Yeah, but she's a gorgeous bird, and when they're outside, like, it doesn't do her justice to be in the building here. to see the colors that come out of this bird is just absolutely unbelievable. These guys, it's an interesting little thing. These guys are found basically in Mexico, south into Central America, and into South America. You know, so in all the way down. They were what they're finding out, like through anthropological records and stuff like that, is they were actually used. The Aztecs and the Maya people had a breeding program for these guys, and so they were breeding specifically for the feathers. So they would use their feathers and stuff like that in traditional headdresses and that kind of stuff. And so it's quite an interesting kind of story with these guys, and you see in some of the ancient ruins and stuff like that, if you get into the Mayan jungle and all that kind of stuff, you will see a whole lot of statues and idols and stuff like that you can see the face of the macaw on. And
is that a regular finding of macaws with no tail feathers?
No. No. Usually when I see a macaw with tail feathers, I either think, oh, this is a bird that's very young and hasn't really learned to land properly. I don't think that's the case with her, because I've seen her fly. She flies pretty good. I think that is either a direct result of a cage that's too small, perhaps, or when I bring you Pickle, I think maybe Pickle had something to do with it, because they came from the same same group. So that's
like
it's very possible.
Feather competition.
Yeah.
Interesting. They're very intelligent. I apologize that I'm so quiet with this is our first time that we've been meeting so many birds.
Yeah.
And they're watching, they're looking at me, and they're listening, and they're tuned right in.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, she knows you're there. She's having a hard time figuring out the flat screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on.
That's
I'll
good.
see if I can get Cherry back in, which is always going to be. We're going to try and get Buddy in here, because I realize I'm bringing you guys lots of birds that are from, Central and South America, but I haven't got any birds from Africa. I'm going to try and see if Janine can't get me Buddy. Buddy is an African gray, but before that, we'll get this chatterbox out of the way here. This is Pickle.
Pickle wants in the deal.
This is Pickle. Hello, Pickle.
Hello, Pickle.
Pardon me?
I said, hello, Pickle. Welcome to the show.
Oh yeah. Now Pickle is a yellow-crowned Amazon. These guys are from. Pickle does not like Janine. If Pickle sees Janine, you'll see Pickle launch herself off my shoulder. She's going to try and get rid of Janine. She tries to drive Janine off.
Wow.
Right? But Pickle's really good with me. And what that's all about, nobody knows. That's again a bird that came to us from unknown situation. She was at Animal Care and Control. We don't know her history. We just know that she was seized for whatever reason, and we're never really told the reason, right? So that could be a past relationship with a woman, so she's decided that she doesn't like ladies with dark hair. It could be that simple. She could be Pickle could be thinking that she wants to protect me from Janine possibly. I don't know if that's what's going through her head or not, but yeah.
She knows she knows that I'm here, right?
Oh, absolutely. And like I say, it's very confusing for them because they're not used to the man in the box. You see, so she's trying to. You see, they're all kind of squat down to see.
Yeah, and get a different perspective of.
Yeah.
Because last time we visited, you talked about the way that birds see in their light
Absolutely.
range, right? So they're moving to get a different read. So they're reading they're seeing like a flat image
You're seeing a flat image that talks, which is very,
in infrared. Was it infrared or ultraviolet? I can't remember.
Ultraviolet they see in.
Ultraviolet.
Right. So any kind of, like, from what I understand, of course, we can't see ultraviolet. So every time we talk about ultraviolet, it's always a guess.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, when you see a bird sees a television set or a TV monitor or anything like that, they see an aura around it because this thing emits ultraviolet. That's how they work, right? So it's very confusing for some of these guys, right? But they figured out. Hello, Pickle. Yeah.
That's nice, man. Hello, Pickle.
Are you a good girl? Yeah. You gonna come? Step up. Yeah. No. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time with me having to. She's very. Yeah. Come on. Good, Pickle. Good, Pickle. So yeah. So these guys, their natural range would be from central, like Panama, all the way to southern Brazil, right? They are. I gotta lift her up so you can see it. They are endangered in parts of their range, and in other parts of the range, they're doing okay. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of hybridization between Amazons now, but this is a pretty classic yellow-crowned Amazon. So you see the yellow up at the top here. The vocalizations; these are the guys that are famous for the talking and the carrying on. So they are a really fun bird.
Yeah,
that's good. But with that big personality, also comes that beak. Mm-hmm. So a bird that has this kind of outgoing personality is also a bird that will they'll put up a fight if they don't want to do something. You're going to hear about it, and you're going to feel it sometimes.
Yeah. So this is a pet, but it's a serious pet, right? You have to.
So it's when I always talk to these guys, it's more like a companion animal, because they're not like a dog or a cat. Like a dog or a cat are a domestic animal that has been bred over hundreds of years to live with us, right? Mm-hmm. These guys are a wild animal. There's been no human interference into how they are. I just got to put Pickle down because Janine's moving around. Yeah,
it's that serious. That's something. That bird.
So when you have an animal that's not a domesticated animal, mm-hmm. You just have to realize that you have to coexist with them because they have wild instincts. There's things that drives them that we have no control over.
So when you say animal control, these birds are coming to you. Then now some have been with you for a while.
Yeah.
Now they're up for adoption.
Correct.
So just quickly walk through that process, and then like you named out some for that very small bird. It was like $400 or something like that. Yeah. So what are people looking at to adopt these?
So all these birds, this is Buddy, okay? This is Buddy the African Great. But all these birds that we have here, the bigger birds are all come with a cage and everything like that. So we want to make sure that they have the full setup. We want to make sure that they're in a situation that that they're going to thrive. So when you fill out an application form for a bird like, say, Buddy, the first thing we would do is we'd arrange a time for us to come to your house, not to judge you on your laundry or situation or anything like that. We like to come to your house just because we want to see where you're thinking the bird's going to live, where the cage is going to be. We're also going to help you with making decisions about say simple things like air fresheners. You can't use air fresheners around these guys. A lot of times that's toxic to them. Mm. So you can't go that route. So we explain it to you. We're like I say, we're never there to judge people on how they live. It's none of my business, But what we are interested in is that the bird's going to thrive in the situation that it's in.
Yeah, that the bird's not going to come back. right?
Yeah, well, and that happens too. So what we try to do is with these guys. So if you were to say, oh, I want to take this African gray, or I want to adopt Buddy, I would say, okay, this is everything I know about Buddy. I can tell you that Buddy was attacked by a dog in one of his previous homes. He's actually blind in this eye. That eye right there, he can't see anything. This eye works. So I would ask you, do you have a dog? And then I'd explain the story and say, Buddy doesn't do well with dogs simply because of a past experience. But if we decided, okay, we're going to carry on with this, we found a way that you can have the dog and have the bird and everything would work together. Great. And so then we go past that. Then I come to your house and I say, okay, well, this is a nice place to put the cages. This is what you were thinking. And you would say yes or no. You would show me where you were thinking maybe. And we would say, okay, well, here's why this might be a better spot. That might be a better spot. But in the end, it would be up to you. And then after that, the bird goes to a veterinarian, and we'll get a full physical checkout, and then we get the microchip. So all the birds the bigger birds go with a microchip, and that is for future identification. If for some reason the bird gets out, if your bird gets stolen, whatever goes on, then we can scan the bird with the scanner. Boom! Oh, this is James' bird. We know what's going on. Everything's fine, and we can get you guys reunited. And then once all the vet checks and the microchips all done, then the bird is for you to take home. The bird, the cage, all his toys, all that kind of stuff. And then from that day, we give everybody 3 months. Okay? So in those 3 months, because you never really know until they're in your house. You can, the dynamic might just not be there, right? So once they're in your house, we give you 3 months to decide, geez, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect that to happen. So after that 3 months, or in that 3 months, if you decide, you know what, Meika's, we can't take this, we're not doing it. We will say, fine, bring the bird and his stuff back. We'll refund you all the money except for the money that we had to pay for the veterinarian. So you basically, for Buddy, it would be a $1,200 adoption fee. Okay. $200 of that goes to the vet.
Okay.
Right, so it's included in the price. So you would get $1,000 back if it didn't work out.
That's fair.
And I think that's the best way for the animal too, right?
Totally.
You don't want to get into a thing where you see the bird, all of a sudden on the local buy and sell because Meika's dumped this crazy parrot off on you, and you had no way to get out of it. There's got to be an exit strategy. Right?
I'm with you. Now this guy here, this little guy.
Yeah. So this is Buddy. He's a Congo African gray.
And that's a parrot.
This is a parrot. Yeah.
You know what I noticed? Yeah. I noticed right away. He looks similar. He's got a little. Yeah. He's got a little trimmer, almost like a seabird look, but he's got a little sweet little chirp. Where these other guys they're more of a squawk. This guy's got.
Yeah. Well, he's got a squawk too.
Already, he's just playing nice.
Yeah, he's playing kind. Yeah, he's an older fella, so he's kind of been through a bunch already. He is he's probably one of the iconic parrots. These are the guys that if he wants a drink of water, he'll tell you he wants a drink of water. Like he actually will say things in context, right? Buddy, on the other hand, doesn't say anything in context. He just says whatever he wants to say. He's another one of these birds that talk when you're not looking. And like I say, these guys are from Africa. They're one of the most trafficked parrots in the pet trade. So these guys are right now. The poaching on African gray parrots is huge. It's not. It's poaching mainly for within Africa, but when that happens, it turns, and next thing you know, those poached birds end up in North America. A roundabout way. It's not direct. It's not people from North America going there and strapping birds under their coat and smuggling them out. It's people in Africa smuggling these birds to breeding facilities that are also in Africa, and then they get mixed in with birds that are legally raised for the pet trade. So it's right now African grays they've been they've been switched from CITES up to CITES 1. So that's a protected bird now. And don't bite me. Yeah. and so they're one of the more delicate guys now when it comes to numbers in the wild.
So what kind of, when these guys are in the wild, how big of flocks are they in? Are they hundreds and hundreds of birds?
It used to be, not so much anymore. Parrots are one of the more endangered animals on the planet now, okay. Naturally in the wild. These guys are, they don't really, they're in flocks, but they're in flocks only at a common food source.
Okay.
Right? So that's safety in numbers, you know, because when they're on the ground, that's when they're vulnerable, right?
Right, yeah.
So these guys that will forage on the ground, and so you'll see a lot of African greys on the ground foraging, but they're all in a group, because that's when you're going to get eaten by a tiger or whatever, not tiger, I guess a lion there. Yeah. But the same thing with the macaws. Even though they're a bird of the high canopy, they come down to clay licks, and for to get some sort of minerals from that, and but they come down in great huge groups. So I guess probably you've seen on nature programs and stuff, the parrots all on the side of a cliff, and they're all eating. Looks like they're just eating dirt, but you'll see a bunch of scarlet macaws, a bunch of Amazon parrots, and all them all mixed together in a great. It looks like a great huge organized flock, but it's just they all go to a common food source for protection. One bird flies, they all fly.
maybe next week we can talk a little bit about the tours, because you probably get a chance to see these great congregations of parrots. And who are we going to see next week? You got anybody in mind?
I do. I think you're probably going to meet a couple of green-winged macaws. So those are some big guys. I might be able to wrangle a special guest out next time for maybe one of the big blue hyacinth macaws.
Nice.
And I don't know who we'll find somebody.
Meika's Safehouse, brought to you by Meika's Birdhouse and Ian Sprague. I think this was an awesome first show, eh? Don't you think? I think so. So
I think it went well.
Okay, we'll see, and then we'll see everybody next week.